Hey, for all the authors that are listening out there, I wanted to share with you this great email that we received here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast from Dr. Linda Mubarak. She is a past guest and the author of Maxine's New Job. Here's the email. Dear Fatima and Jed, good news! Maxine's New Job has been nominated to receive the prestigious Henri Award at the 2018 Christian Literacy Awards for Outstanding Literacy Work in the Children's Book Division. I sincerely believe your certifying Maxine as a great read helped bring increased social media attention to the book. Thank you for the exposure and the great marketing. We are so happy for Dr. Linda Mubarak that her book, Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read, Maxine's New Job, received this prestigious recognition. We would love to help your book receive that same kind of recognition. If you are interested in having your book considered for our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program, please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can click on the contact button, send us a note, and we'll send all the information back to you, or you can go right to our Certified Great Read page on our website. It's fun, it's easy, and it is really an effective way to let the world know that your book stands out above all the rest. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program.
Reading with Your Kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in Boston, Massachusetts. We have an incredibly powerful show for you today to start our celebration of International Women's Month. Our guest is Tiffany Bluhm. She was actually left on a doorstep 2 days after her birth. Thankfully, she survived, and thankfully, she's here to tell us about her brand new book, She Dreams. If you're the author of a great children's book, we would love to have you as a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast. And if you're the author of a great children's book, you are also the head of your business. That's right. And your business is the business of selling your great children's book. And you want to do it right. That's why I think you should check out readingwithyourkids.com/inkfile, INCFILE. readingwithyourkids.com/inkfile. Inkfile helps you quickly and easily form your LLC, S Corp, C Corp, or any other business. Start your business today for as little as $49 and state fees. There's no contracts. There's no hidden fees. Inkfile has been trusted by over 150,000 businesses worldwide since 2004. Check it out today. Remember, you are the head of a business once you write your great children's book. You want to do it right. Go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com/inkfile, INCFILE, readingwithyourkids.com/inkfile. Coming to us from Tacoma in Washington, where it's a little bit rainy. What a surprise. She is the author of a beautiful new book, a book not necessarily for kids. It wasn't written for kids, but middle grade kids, high school kids are going to absolutely love experiencing this book with you. And you're going to love it too. The name of the book is She Dreams, and our guest is Tiffany Bluhm. Tiffany, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. I forgot to make sure I was pronouncing your name right before we started. Did I do okay?
You didn't. That's okay. It's Bloom, like a flower.
Tiffany Bluhm. That would have been so much easier for me. So Tiffany Bluhm. Actually, Tiffany, I'll let you in a little behind the curtain scene. I make that mistake on purpose. That way it really gets into the listeners' heads what your name, how you pronounce your name.
Love it.
Yeah, there you go. But it's not spelled Bloom. It's spelled Bluhm. That would be important if you're going online to Google Tiffany. But after the show. So why don't we begin by you telling us about She Dreams?
Yes, She Dreams is written for any woman, young woman, teen woman, middle school girl who has a big dream in their heart and feels like, you know what, I don't know where to start or what to do, but I know I have a dream and the world may keep on spinning, but I won't unless I pursue it. So against the odds, at all costs, it's always worth it to chase after the dreams.
I love that. I love that. Tiffany and I were talking about a little dream I was chasing, that the iHeartRadio Podcast Award that so many of you supported me on. And it is important to keep going for your dreams, no matter what age you are, whether you're a young kid in middle school or an old guy like me.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is that when we're young, we think, oh, I lack experience. I don't know what I'm doing. Or perhaps we don't have access to resources or at all the education that we think we need yet. So we don't get started. And the same could be said when we're along in our years and we think, you know what? I'm not young. I don't have that energy. I don't have that time. There's never the perfect time to pursue your dreams. But sometimes you just got to get out the gate. Now, I get it. Sometimes life is a titch busy and you really do need to take a minute and put it on the shelf. But that's not true for most of us. For most of us, there's room. Think of all the time we watch TV or spend on social media or all those other things added up. 20, 30, 40, even 2 hours a day. If we were able to spend that time pursuing our dream, we'd get farther faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, tell me, what was it? What was your dream that led you to writing this book and your career inspiring others?
Oh, great question. Well, I worked full-time in community outreach for 7 years, the majority of my 20s. And I stepped away because I had just had my second baby. And the first one, he is adopted. He's from Uganda, and I'm also adopted. I'm from India. So we got a little United Nations family going on here. And my husband is white, and my youngest is mixed, biological to me. And so as I stepped away to take care of 2 kids, and I traveled and speak for quite some time, but really wanted to pursue writing. And I had, pitched to local magazines, and I was doing some food reviews for a couple magazines and writing online here and there. But I was ready to give it my all. I was ready to think, you know what? I understand that I have a 6-week-old and I am getting little to no sleep, but now seems like a great time to pursue my dream. And I did. With a sleep-deprived mind and a tired body, I got after it. I would tap the keyboards all hours of the day. If I had even 20 minutes a day, I would start writing and started pitching to different publishers and agents. And it took about a year. And I saved up all my pennies and went to a publishing conference on the East Coast. And was just honored to connect with a publisher out of Nashville. And I've been working with them for the past 2.5 years. And this is my 3rd and 4th title coming out, She Dreams. It has both a book and a study. So really, I always knew I wanted to write. I remember, Jedley, being 7 years old and looking at a blank piece of paper and thinking, I get to fill this with my words. Other people can go on a journey with me. I can tell a story and they can find themselves in the story. So I've always been excited to write, but really rolled up my sleeves and chased after my own dream just in these past 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm. As you were speaking and talking about getting out there and pitching your ideas to publishing companies and agents and whatnot, it reminded me of something that a creative person in my life who consults with musicians. And he has an expression that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to get your ask out there, ASK, to really have the courage to get out and ask. And sometimes, and this is one of the things that I know my son is dealing with right now. When he's 25 right now, but there was some times when he had ideas and he would pitch it to one person and he'd get a no, and that would be it. And I would keep telling him, no, sometimes you have to get 100, 200, 300 no's before you get that yes. And that one yes is all it takes.
That is so well said. You just hit the nail on the head. The amount of rejection I endured on my road to becoming an author was a lot, to be honest. And I remember one of the first pitches, I was still working full-time in community outreach, actually, and I pitched to write for the local newspaper. They were hiring local writers to have their own weekly column in the Sunday paper. And there was about 400 pitches made to the editor, and he was only taking 3 new writers to have their own column. And I was number 4. And it was before I had any working for magazines or had featured in any major media. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this was the best no it made me realize like, nope, I've got this in me. And it was invaluable feedback, because the truth is there is such victory and lessons learned that are only accessible by rejection. We wouldn't learn how to grow and move in ways that get us farther. And so it really can be a handy thing, rejection, because it really makes us ask, why am I doing this? What do I want people to get out of this? What's my conviction in this? Why do I think this has to be done? And it really builds our values as we move along. So I'm pretty grateful for the rejection in those early days from the big publishing houses, from agents, and now I'm in a position where getting to talk to some of those agents that I didn't get to talk to because I was willing to put in the work. You know, dreams look a lot like hard work, and no matter what age you are. And so I think I'm pretty thankful for that.
Yeah, you're right. You know, the no's that we get when we take the time to evaluate them, it helps us sand down those rough edges. And you know, what was it? I came in fourth out of 3. So what do I need to do to get to that third spot? A lot of folks just, I didn't get it. That's it.
Yeah, I think so many of us don't dream because we associate dreaming with disappointment. We think back in a time of our life where we felt disappointed and think, well, it didn't happen then. Why would it happen now? Not realizing that is a gift. We can look back and see that those experiences of rejection or disappointment, they weren't the breaking of us. They're probably, in fact, the making of us. If that didn't happen, where would we be now? Or, you know, if that did come true, would we have the opportunities we have now? And then, of course, as we said, the valuable knowledge that comes with rejection of learning how you can grow, as you said, sand down those edges and really clarify our message.
Yeah, fantastic advice. Now, I talked earlier in the show about the fact that this wasn't necessarily written for kids, but it certainly is a great book, I think, for middle school and high school kids to experience with a parent. They definitely can experience it on their own, but I think it would be a great experience for parent and child to kind of have this, you know, reading this book together, because I think it's something that we could kind of spur each other on. You know, as parents, we always want to motivate our kids to reach for their dreams. But I think in a lot of ways, kids can help parents reach for their dreams too.
Absolutely. And in the book, I feature several women in history who had dreams in their youth and didn't really see them come to pass until their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. I featured Julia Child, who at one time in her early 20s said, "Sadly, I'm an ordinary person, not good at any one thing." Julia Child said that after she pitched to the New Yorker, and they didn't pick her writing up, and it just crushed her. And I also feature Ruby Bridges, who at 6 years old, not a middle schooler, not a high schooler, but a 6-year-old, was the first one to integrate in desegregated schools. So I feature several women who, whether they were just a kid or middle school, high school, early 20s, where they really started to get hold of a dream, one that would guide them throughout their life.
What do you think? Why do you think it's been hard for women to dream in the past?
I think it's been hard because we are taught from such a young age, you know, instead of labeling us as leaders in preschool, we're labeled as bossy. Instead of getting picked because we are the most talented or skilled, we might be passed over because there's a man with more charisma, or he can say it and sell himself better than we can. We aren't one to self-promote. In fact, there's been studies done that when women rate themselves, CEOs, upper management, they rate themselves of how they're doing at their job, and they always give themselves about a C, C+. If you were to ask men in those same positions, how are you doing? Do you feel equipped to lead in the area that you are leading in? And all of these men gave themselves A's. So I think we just we set ourselves aside. We're less likely to ask for raises. We're less likely to pursue leadership positions. We're less likely to go after those big dreams because maybe, just maybe, we've had a family of origin that said, you know what, just get married and have babies, which that's a great thing too. I love my husband and I love being a mom to my little boys. But I know that there's so much in each and every woman from their birth. You know, one of my kids' favorite kids' books is The Plans I Have for You. And it talks about how I've tucked good plans in you. They've been there since birth. This idea that no matter who you are, no matter what color you are, no matter what socioeconomic standing you have in the world, it is your birthright to dream. It is your birthright to dream. And for some of us, we feel like, well, we aren't the richest. We don't have the access to resources. We do feel like we don't make a splash and have connections. Therefore, we pass it up. Now, if you're a young lady who in your 20s, maybe you didn't finish school, maybe you settled down or you had kids early and you feel like, well, I don't have the time now. I missed my moment. That's just not true, because those dreams you had at 5 and 6 and then 15 and then 25, they're probably going to be there at 35 and 45 and 55. Now, I'm not talking about dreams of wearing the high school varsity football player jacket, not those dreams. I'm talking big, big, big dreams. Ones of being a writer or creator or artist, or really going after what it is you feel called to do. When you combine your gifts and your strengths and your abilities with your passion, it's unstoppable. And Angela Duckworth, in her book Grit, she talks about that it's not that you're the most gifted, it's that you're willing to work the hardest. So I think when you couple all that together and blend it all up, and really believe that you are built for it, not thinking that everyone else deserves to pursue their dreams but you, then I think you really got some vision for your life. And I will say, especially because as we continue to talk about these middle school and high school girls, I've spent much of my life mentoring middle school and high school girls. And I was one once upon a time, 20 years ago. I will tell you right now, having a vision for my life that young, it kept me on the straight and narrow. It kept me from making some poor choices. It kept me from undercutting or underselling myself as I pursued and got older and reached for the stars and applied for different jobs and internships and things like that. It really kept me going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much here. I think we could have like 5 episodes here, but a couple of things that struck me. What you just said about having dreams helped you succeed in school, helped you make better choices. That's borne out not only in your own life and not only in the life of my daughter, as I'm looking back at how she carried herself through middle school, high school, college. But there's also many, many studies that show that kids who have dreams are more successful in school, do better, they're happier, they're healthier. And I'm surprised when I go in and I'm doing my educational magic shows, every once in a while, I'll ask kids, if you have a dream, if there's something that you want to do when you grow up, and just raise your hand. And I've never had more than 50% of the kids raise their hand. So I think this is something that as parents, we need to talk to our kids, and not just the old, it starts with what do you want to do when you grow up, but I think we can do more of that. Talk to them about, what are your goals? What makes you happy? What jazzes you? And we can kind of see it when we're reading with our kids. We can notice what is it? What books are making this 5-year-old's eyes light up?
That's right.
And connect that way. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, now we're talking about how great She Dreams would be for middle school, high school kids, and a great co-reading experience. But what about for our little kids, our 4 and 5-year-old daughters, granddaughters, nieces, even our sons and grandsons? How can we? What do you think of the idea of going out and kind of developing your own curriculum to help them dream, going out and choosing books to read with your kids that encourages them to dream?
Yeah, I think that it's our job, just as you said, as parents, to really foster those dreams and see what sparks joy in our children, and really help unleash that, because the truth is we're very much the gatekeepers for our kids pursuing their dreams before they leave our home. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's room to, one of the things that come to mind first is, as you read the book, it's very much encouraging you to begin with the end in mind. So as you see your kids and sitting down with them is like, okay, what would you want to do? Where would you want to take this? What could the dream look like in third grade. And, I have a second grader, and every year we set out a dream list with him even. And we say, what are you dreaming about? And I have to tell you, his big dream was being 4'11". That was his first big dream. But beyond that, what books do you want to read? What do you want to see, taste, experience this year? And just really building that wealth of knowledge. And so I think that there's room to not only read the book, but really map out with your kids. As you dream, as you, the parent, dream, may it be so that you make room and make it a priority to communicate what your kids' dreams are, because the only way you can support it is if you know. One of the practices that a mentor of mine has long encouraged me to do is to sit down and write my dream as if it's in present day. So about 8 years ago, I sat down and wrote out as if it was happening this very minute. I woke up with my kids, was able to cuddle them before I dropped them off at school, went and picked up my coffee, and then was able to go back to my home office, work from home, write my books and travel on the weekends and speak at events that I speak at. And these things were not my reality. It seemed like the most far-fetched reality. And I know it sounds silly now because I'm living in it, but it felt impossible. And to think that as I wrote that out, I let that kind of sink into my subconscious, and it really became a guide of every step I took professionally and even personally. The books I read, the people I invited to speak into my life, the people I spoke into their lives, it really helped me put into perspective, if I want this to be my reality, that needs to start now. So I think with kids, mapping that out, and there's a study as well with this book, that's a great resource to process through with your kids.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things, Tiffany was incredibly respectful at the beginning, before we started recording, and Tiffany has a very strong Christian faith, and she said, is it okay if I mention this? I want to be respectful and not offend anybody. And we certainly are very open to folks of all faiths. So why don't you talk a little bit about how your faith played into the creation of She Dreams and the realization of all of your dreams?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. Well, I was abandoned at birth at 2 days old. I was left on a doorstep in New Delhi, India. And then I became one of 26 million orphans in the mid-'80s. I was adopted just shy of 2 years after that. And growing up, I grew up in a predominantly white community about 2 hours south of Seattle, really small little podunk town. And I didn't meet another person of color till I was 12 years old. And so growing up in this town, I constantly felt like the deviation of the standard. I didn't have a baby picture. I didn't have the peachy skin and the blonde hair and the blue eyes. I didn't have this beautiful birth story that everyone else shared on the days when we talked about our family trees. And I ached. I felt like if this was my beginning, one that I feel so disconnected to, not only did I feel like I was the wrong color, I didn't even feel connected to the culture I represented and even the expectations of others, because they just assumed I knew about this culture. And I wasn't going home to an Indian family where I could share my skin and my story and my understanding of the world. And so growing up with that as a kid was extremely difficult, and it really, really left me feeling very abandoned and rejected and just so alone to fight my hardest battles all by myself. So as I got older and developed a deep faith, I really came to grips with the understanding that who I was enough. It didn't matter that I was a different skin color. It didn't matter that my story wasn't perfect. It mattered that I was loved, and with the understanding that I was loved just as I was, with the understanding that I was enough just as I was, I wanted to spend the rest of my life investing into other people who felt less than, who felt left out and left alone to fight their hardest battles. So as I started to dream of what it would be like to serve men and women and children, anyone I could come in contact with, it was able to really guide me and build a structure, a framework that has become the dream I have today as I partner with my husband, as I write books and lead a podcast and do all of these things. It really gave perspective to think, I know there's people who feel like leftovers, and they're invited to know that they're enough.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful story. Now, that experience growing up with adopted parents and an adopted family. Is that what inspired you to become an adoptive mom?
You want to know what? Absolutely not. Which would you would assume, wouldn't it? Honestly, being an adoptee is no easy thing. And we often, in the adoption community, you often hear beautiful stories from adoptive parents, but hearing from adult adoptees are 4 more times likely to take their own life, struggle with depression and anxiety, just feel aimless generally. And I can relate. It's really hard finding your feet when you feel so separated from the identity that you so long to have or know, and a culture you feel so separated from. But as my husband and I got married, I remember we were on our 2nd anniversary sitting on the beach in San Diego reading novels. I was reading The Help. I remember so specifically. I was reading the novel The Help, which was so good. And I looked over and I said, hey, let's wait another couple of years before we start having kids. How does that sound? And he said, yeah, totally. No, I feel peace about that. And I said, great. And then 1 month later, 30 days later, we had every piece of paper filled out for a dossier, which is all the documents necessary to adopt. So our hearts quickly turned, and as we served our community and realizing that every child belongs in a family, even if it comes with baggage, even if it comes with trauma, every child deserves to be in a family, not institutionalized, but have a mommy and daddy to tuck them in. So we started the process. It was a 2-year process, and Jericho Lincoln has been with our family just shy of 6 years. Wow. And it has been definitely an uphill battle, but one I would fight again and again.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Beautiful. I love hearing stories of families coming together, whether it's through adoption or foster care or just friends. We often make jokes here in our family. We host international kids and a magician and clown, and so holidays here at our house can sometimes look like the island of misfit toys that no one seems to, with like every skin tone and half a dozen languages and the most bizarre professions you can imagine. But it's really beautiful when people come together despite those differences to discover that deep down inside we all share that common humanity.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody deserves to be loved.
Absolutely. Well, everybody deserves a chance to find out more about Tiffany Bluhm. Did you like that segue? Is that kind of cool?
That was pretty awesome.
Thank you. So where can they go to find out more about you? I'm specifically talking about your great website.
Oh, yes, shedreamsbook.com. Everything's there. You can see a few trailers. You can download the first chapter. You can see the first 5 days of the study guide. Learn a little bit more about it and links to all your favorite retailers.
Now, we did mention the fact that you have a strong Christian faith and that there are some lessons. Can a person who's not Christian or of another faith tradition or no faith tradition benefit from the book?
Absolutely. And where I live in the Northwest, this is a rather multicultural faith area. So I always write with that audience in mind. So for sure, absolutely, anyone will be able to find inspiration and anyone will be able to find themselves in the story.
Excellent. So it's shedreamsbook.com. And you also mentioned that you have a podcast. Why don't we give the podcast a plug too?
Oh, hey, thank you, sir. It is called Why Though, and it answers the big questions, little questions, and everything in between. Everything from why do your eyebrows look so good to why am I having this existential crisis?
All right, Why Though? Check it out. Our guest today has been the author of She Dreams. Find out more at shedreamsbook.com. Our guest has been Tiffany Bluhm. Tiffany, I have had a blast speaking to you. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Dara Lovitz. She'll be telling us about her beautiful book, Catching Falling Cradles, a gentle approach to classic rhyme. Hey, please remember that we are looking for a few great schools to host our all-new in-school experience that we are calling Reading with Your Kids Live. We're looking to celebrate our shared love of reading and learning with storytelling, magic, and lots of fun. We may even feature some of the students on a future episode of the podcast. You can check it out at our website, readingwithyourkids.com/live. Hey, I want to thank Tiffany Bluhm for being here today. Of course, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.